Ready? Let's nail this quick one, and then I'm hungry. I have a meeting at 11.
Sure.
Which I don't want to do, but whatever.
Yeah, I have a funny suspicion that if this was George saying it, he'd have a different opinion.
It's interesting you say that because Brundle has also pitched in on the Lando Norris thing. I agree with Lando Norris.
What was that?
That was my body rejecting the statement I just said out loud. Martin Brundle has been making the news this week as of time of recording. And quite frankly, it is confusing. And on this podcast, we have already had an advocate for it's time for Brundle to step down. And now I'm not saying that we're starting a campaign to get Brundle to step down, but I do think his most recent comments are a little confusing. Welcome back to Ahead at the Apex. And today I am joined by Jake. Say hi, Jake.
Hello. I'm not falling for it.
Not falling for it. Today we are talking the fall of champions because 2026 has brought about, so far after 3 races in Formula 1 and MotoGP, it has brought about quite the fall of champions. And the first one I want to start with, Jake, is Max Verstappen.
Yep.
Who has had a frustrating season so far. So I think I'm right in saying 5th place in Australia.
Yes, I think so.
Behind Norris.
Yep.
Retirement in China.
Yep.
Poor sprint, I think 10th in China.
Yep.
And a frustrating 8th place in the Japanese Grand Prix, a track that he has absolutely owned for the last few years. And
yeah, it's
won
kind of
championship at. And
it's kind of his track, really. At least recently.
And it's Red Bull's track, really. I mean,
yeah.
They always suited their car very well, even in the Vettel days and Vettel Ricciardo days before that. I mean, it was always sort of their sort of track. After the Japanese Grand Prix, the 4-time champion claimed he is seriously considering walking away from F1 at the end of the season due to these regulations. And he has been warning us about these regulations 3 years now, since 2023, when he first got on the simulator. And I don't know if you've seen that video, but I always like watching it back because he's like, oh yeah, I've tested the new car at Monza and it's going to be like, we're going to be in 6th gear by the time we go past the start-finish straight because of just deployment issues. And honestly, he's sounding like he's right. Before I get into Brundle's comments, I will also mention that Verstappen is continuing to push to change the reliance on hybrid power, and Ferrari is expected to oppose this. The problem will be Max is hugely important to the stakeholders in F1.
Yep.
But so is their regulations. So that could cause a split. Before we get into Brundle, Jake, I just want to also mention Norris, because here's where the Brundle comments are difficult. So Norris, disappointing race in Australia as a defending world champion, didn't turn up in China at all. Reasonable Japanese Grand Prix, finished P5 after a race-long battle with Lewis. He said, this is not racing, referring to the yo-yo exchange of positions with Hamilton. He said, honestly, some of the racing, I didn't even want to overtake Lewis. It's just my battery deploys and I don't want to deploy it, but I can't control it. So I overtake him and then I have no battery, so he just flies past. This is not racing. This is yo-yoing. Right. Both drivers complaining about the racing.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. Brundle's comments about Verstappen. Max would say it's getting a bit boring now. I think it's getting a bit boring with what he's saying. Either go or stop talking about it because it is what it is. You've got to make the most of it. I would hugely miss his talent. His generational speed and car control is something that very few people in the history of motorsport have had. It's quite extraordinary, and I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever that given they were building their own powertrain for the first time, that his management would have put in an exit clause for the end of the season to see how it goes. So the sport will just move on if Max decides to go. But he's sort of doing quite a bit of damage meanwhile. But I think we all appreciate how Max rocks and rolls. So on one hand, he's saying, shut the fuck up, Max. And on the other hand, he's saying, yeah, we'd miss him, but the sport will move on without him.
Yeah, I have a funny suspicion that if this was George saying it, he'd have a different opinion.
It's interesting you say that because Brundle has also pitched in on the Lando Norris thing. So Brundle obviously not in Japan.
Yep.
He was on the Sky Sports break that they have to take. He said he enjoyed the racing, but he is concerned that drivers have lost a fundamental degree of control. So he said, some of the overtakes obviously were too battery driven. Others, I really enjoyed the action. I enjoyed once again seeing the Ferraris pouring into turn one side by side, almost touching really good, clean, hard racing. It's in there. It's available if we can just get it right. Get the battery, the deployment, and all the words we hate using actually sorted out. One thing that really worried me is Lando Norris saying, I don't want to overtake Lewis, but then my battery decided it did, and then I had nothing to defend with. There's a regulation in Formula One that's been around forever. It's very simple and far-reaching. The driver must drive the car alone and unaided. The driver shouldn't have any surprises from a self-learning car. They've got to get rid of that. I'm sure it's not the work of a moment, but the battery delivery must be proportional to what the driver's doing with the throttle. That's fundamental. So, Norris is kicking off about battery deployment. Verstappen is kicking off about battery deployment. But on the one hand, Brundle's like, well, see you later, Max. If you don't like it, leave.
Yep.
And on the other hand, he's like, oh, no, well, there's something fundamentally wrong with this. Interesting.
What's the difference?
What is the difference? That is a good question. Yes. I don't want to suggest British bias, but there is definitely some British bias in this. I'm not a fan of that at all. Brundle, no. Please stop. This is why people use the term British bias, and this is why Sky Sports had to apologise last year for you and your team. Sort it out. It's not okay. Now, I agree with Lando Norris.
What was that?
That was my body rejecting the statement I just said out loud. But I also agree with Max Verstappen. This is why Oscar had his issue. This is why Hadjar had his spin. This is why we've got Bearman flying through space and time. Like, the battery is on a self-learning system.
It's part of the regulations.
It picks up where the driver pushes down the throttle and where battery deployment should be optimal for the higher speed, and then it just does it. That's not okay.
Yeah, it's not. We're not back in 2009 with KERS. We have a self-learning system that
No, I actually think that the KERS methodology would be better.
It would be. Driver presses a button and gets the boost.
And it's just that the battery is better and the harvesting is better. I think that would be a better system. And actually, I think I could get beyond the 50-50 split if it were KERS.
Yes, but then I think in general, the racing would be significantly slower.
That's fine.
I like cars flying into corners at like 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, but would you notice the difference between 200 and 180 miles an hour?
Yeah.
If they're all doing it. Would you actually notice on screen? Would you?
Yeah.
Because that was the difference between qualifying and the race at Japan.
Yep.
Nobody looks at the time. Nobody goes, oh, well, I noticed that actually Max Verstappen was at 189 miles an hour in turn one entry on Saturday, but on Sunday it was 197. Nobody cares.
You forget that I've spent 3 years watching Formula E.
Yeah, but nobody cares.
It's significantly slower than Formula 1.
But significantly slower. If we're talking like 50 miles an hour difference, yeah, sure. If we're talking 20 miles, nobody's going to notice. Nobody's going to notice. The thing you look at is the driver working hard? And if the driver is not working hard, like I look at onboards from this year and I look at onboards from last year, and the cars look slower last year even though they were faster. because everything is just like, I will turn in now, and the car just goes.
Yeah.
And I will turn this way now, and the car just goes. And I will hit the brakes now, and the car just comes to slow and then turns in. It's all, last year was just all precision, right? The last time F1 cars looked truly quick, and I mean truly quick, was 2020. And even then, it was only at certain tracks like Mugello, where Lewis is flying through that turn 8 at
on rails
at full speed, and the car's just like bouncing over the bumps, but it's absolutely firmly planted on the ground.
Yeah.
And even then, it only looks quick from the static cam. When you've got a dynamic, when you've got a cam moving with the car, you wouldn't know it's 20 miles an hour. You wouldn't. You really wouldn't.
Yeah.
You really wouldn't. So, you know, if they did a 70-30 split, but the battery was more like Kerr's, I don't think you notice.
I have a different feeling. So I kind of guessed that this season was going to be a bit crap, if I'm honest.
Yep.
Not because of realistically the engine change or whatever, but because whenever a regulation shifts, the first season is always a bit meh. 2022 was a bit meh.
2022 was great. I know what you're talking about.
Especially the first two races. But after that, it got great. But it's the end. Australia, obviously, we all got up early, didn't we? Because we're all dedicated fans. We watched it.
Apart from Tim.
Did he not?
No.
Wow, shocker. Awful. Obviously, there's that quick bit in Sector 2 in Australia where you go, it's kind of what we call a back straight, but it's not really a back straight. It's yeah. You twist your turn and you come up to that sort of chicane that goes onto the final bunch.
Yeah.
The last few years, that corner has been pretty much flat out.
Oh, yeah, okay. So that's where Formula One cars do look quick. It's from the static cam there.
Yeah. Like that corner was probably the most exciting bit of Australia for me because
but when
you can
look at
see
the onboards, they just look so on rails. It's true.
You can see how much effort it takes to drive a Formula One car at that point. They're going nearly 200 miles an hour through corners.
Yeah.
Right, it's impressive. Yeah. This year, they're slowing down before they even get there.
No, I know. But if they were still building speed into that corner, so you had no audio feedback that the cars were slowing down, but they were the same speed by the time they reached that corner, you wouldn't notice. You wouldn't.
No, but I think
you genuinely wouldn't. And then if they were able, so okay, this year you're not going to see them like planted on the ground, but by the time we get to 28 and the downforce has come in more and the teams have got on top of it, then you're going to see them actually like throwing cars into corners, even if they are slower than last year.
Yeah, I think my biggest, not necessarily really just annoyance with at least just purely the engine regs. I liked ground effect. I thought it's a very interesting concept for Formula One.
Is it?
At least for me, it was.
Because Lando Norris won the World Championship.
The issue that I have with the engine is that they got rid of. What are you doing?
It's just drowning you out.
The issue is that there's no MGU-H.
Yeah, it seems odd to get rid of it.
And it seems you're trying to promote a 50-50 split, yet you got rid of one of the generating units that makes the engine more efficient.
Yeah.
Because I can guarantee that we wouldn't have an issue with superclipping if we had that taking some energy and charging the battery.
Yeah.
You could actually continuously
but the
run
cars
it.
would be the same size that they were last year.
I agree that it is a little bit of a problem with the new regs. You either want a big car or a small car, and they want a small car, so they got rid of it, and it's cheaper.
Do you know what is a small car?
But it kind of fixes the problem.
Do you know what really would make a small car?
What?
A V10. Naturally aspirated V10.
Why don't we just all go back to like 2005 V10s or something?
These cars are still bigger than 2006, 2007 cars.
Oh, yeah, I know. They're like nearly double the size.
These cars are still humongous. I mean, they look smaller on screen, but that's because we've been so used to wide cars since 2017.
Yeah.
They are bigger than 2016 cars.
Yeah, I don't know how heavily you're into, like, I know we occasionally send memes and whatnot on Instagram.
Do we?
Occasionally. You take like 4 days to respond to mine, but okay.
I'm a busy person. I'm running a very successful podcast.
Okay. But watching old clips from like early 2000s, sort of late 2000s.
Oh, that's
like,
all I watch.
It's just like,
yeah.
We missed, like, yes, I'm all for 50-50 split and sustainable fuels and protecting the environment, but V10s.
I do miss V10s.
Their high-pitched whine going through Eau Rouge, just incredible.
I do miss V10s. I'm going to have to move you on, though.
Yeah.
Because we do have a rant to get to. I'm going to mix in Marc Marquez in this as well. So we're going to switch to MotoGP. So last weekend, as a time of recording, was the third race of the MotoGP calendar, which was in Texas. But the week before that was the Brazilian Grand Prix, and the first Brazilian Grand Prix for 3 decades?
A very long time.
2 decades?
Yeah. It was a very long time. I don't remember a Brazilian GP.
I don't think we were old enough for a Brazilian Grand Prix.
No. Why are we whispering?
So that they don't hear us.
Oh, okay. Fair.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. So it was the Brazilian Grand Prix, which has been back on the calendar for a while. Now, in particular, Marc Marquez, who's not having a good time at the moment, says he's not there, but the bike is there. He's still recovering from a shoulder injury. And the reason that I bring him up is because something unusual happened in Brazil, where he was battling Digi Antonio, and at turn 11, he ran slightly wide and lost a huge amount of grip, huge amount of speed, and was overtaken. And on the surface of that, if you just watched the highlights and you didn't know what was going on, that might seem weird. But the Brazilian Grand Prix track that they use, which is Brazil, so it's Autodromo something de Ayrton Senna, something like that. Goiânia.
Yeah, I think for F1 fans, you have to be quite clear that this isn't the same track.
This isn't Sao Paulo, no. This is in Goiânia.
This is a completely different circuit. No link to the F1 circuit. The F1 circuit is fine.
I think you made that clear.
Yeah.
Good. Right, so the reason they've expanded into Brazil is because they lost the contract with Termas in Argentina.
Yep.
And we've also got a Brazilian rider on the grid this year.
Yes.
Who is...
Moreira, isn't it?
Diogo Moreira, yeah. Now, what is quite interesting about this is that they were still resurfacing the track as late as January.
Yes, and that is minorly a worry. Obviously, weather is different.
It is a bit of a worry.
Weather is obviously different, but...
So Brazil is known for its rainy climate, would you say?
Yeah, let's just say rainy climate.
Yeah. Let's say rainy climate, and obviously the Brazilian Grand Prix in F1 is
a lot later.
There's often a lot of rain.
Often a lot of rain.
It's fair to say it's known for that.
It is later in their season and year.
Yeah, but it's not. If you think about the way that seasons work, Jake. I mean, just because we have it at the end of the year and MotoGP have it at the start of the year, they're still close together.
Yes.
It's just that in the same calendar year, they're far apart. Right. The FIM, this is going to get confusing. The FIM, who govern MotoGP in the same way that the FIA govern Formula One, said that there was no need for concern. Don't worry, guys. We got this. Don't worry.
Which is inherently concerning as it is, because that should be pretty common knowledge.
They shouldn't have to say this.
Like the FAA never come out and go, "Oh yeah, we've got this race."
Don't worry about it.
But I hope so.
More heavy rain leading up to the Grand Prix weekend, with parts of the new surface underwater. Practice delayed by an hour. Then a sinkhole appeared after MotoGP qualifying on Saturday offline on the pit straight. So pre-sprint.
Yes.
So for those who don't know how MotoGP weekend goes, it's Friday practice, and then it's called free practice on Friday, and then practice, which is where the top 10 riders in practice go directly through to Q2. Qualifying on the Saturday morning, Q1 and Q2, two 15-minute sessions where the two fastest riders from Q1 make it to Q2, And then there's a 12-rider shootout for pole position in Q2 with the fastest 10 from practice already there and waiting. Then they do Moto 2 and Moto 3 qualifying.
I don't know the exact order, whether it's 3 or 2
there
or
is
2
no
or 3.
sprint. There is no sprint.
No, but it's, yeah.
And then they do the MotoGP sprint.
Yeah.
Then the next day on the Sunday is Moto 2 and Moto 3 Grand Prix, culminating in the MotoGP Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's like the pinnacle of the weekend.
Yeah.
So
just to put it into time, there is not a lot of time between MotoGP qualifying, which is the first thing on Saturday, and the sprint, which is the last thing on Saturday, because in between there, you've got to have 2 more series do their qualifying sessions.
Yeah, it's very similar to the way F1 deal with F1, F2, F3, and F1 Academy.
Yeah, right. Except it always builds up to F1,
yes.
Whereas with MotoGP, qualifying happens in the morning before the sprint.
Yeah.
So this sinkhole appears. Apparently caused by soil movement due to heavy rain. Shock. Then, so they filled that in with shitty concrete. And it was offline anyway, so a lot of the riders were like, well, we just don't ride there anyway. Like, yeah, it's concerning, but they've fixed the problem and we don't ride there, so who cares? Yeah. And it was off the start grid and whatever else, so fine. Then the surface at turn 11 and 12, did I mention turn 11 already? Began to break up on Sunday during the Moto 2 and Moto 3 races.
Yes.
So what did they do? They patched it where appropriate, and they then, minutes before the race, decided, you know what, we're just going to do 75% race distance, because then we can still award full points, but hopefully the track won't break up even more.
Yep.
But it did break up even more.
Quite badly.
So, first of all, Ducati and KTM were furious that this decision had been made without a delay to the start. So a delay to the start would have brought them the opportunity to change tyres, the opportunity to change the fuel load.
Yep.
All of these things which matter with a MotoGP bike.
Obviously, you have a front and a back tyre that you can have different compounds of.
Yeah.
So some people are having medium for a long race, and some people are having medium soft for a short race.
Right.
Like you do in a sprint.
So you might be afforded, if your bike is pretty good on tyre wear,
to go soft.
Because we're talking, was the sprint race was only like 6 laps fewer than the then Grand Prix distance. So you might have been able to nurse a soft tyre through now the Grand Prix. And then you can bring the fuel load down so that generally the bikes behave differently and faster and whatever.
Yep.
Whereas bikes that may have taken a gamble on the soft tyre for a 31 lap race would now have an advantage.
Yep.
Right, so it doesn't seem fair for that to happen. What is particularly interesting is that the safety officer in MotoGP is the CEO's nephew. Yeah, so Tome Alfonso Espeleta is the safety officer, and Camilo Espeleta is the CEO of MotoGP Sports Entertainment, which is the new Dorna. For those who know, during the race as well, we've seen lots of people claim bruising to the hand from like bits of asphalt sticking out. We had the Marc Marquez incident, which technically lost him a position because he ran a few millimeters or centimeters wide at turn 11 and hit the bit that was disintegrating rather than the bit that was grippy.
Yep.
And thus lost a place to Digia. My concern about this is not necessarily that the race went ahead, it's that they ignored certain things. So they ignored the start delay procedure, which could have potentially put riders at risk, right? Because you've now got heavier bikes in it.
To a degree, yes. I think obviously the rider safety is a little bit more difficult in MotoGP because unlike a Formula 1 car, where if the rider is in a crash, he's in the car and he has a shell around him that is tested pretty
sure. You're very exposed on a bike. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
And you can be thrown, you can be chucked, you can be sent flying, you can land badly. So if this disintegrating asphalt makes your bike crash and you get flipped and then you injure yourself,
mm-hmm.
I I'd say that's ground for legal action, not just because that is a safety matter.
It is a safety matter, and I mean,
because it's their job, right? If you walked into work and your chair broke,
yeah, nobody's getting sacked for this, right? Nobody is getting sacked for this whatsoever. And we've had this discussion before, where like, you know, if I suck at my job, I'm going to get sacked.
Yes.
But nobody's losing their job over this. And particularly the safety officer who decided, you know, it was okay to use rubbish cement to fill in the tarmac and it was okay to go ahead with this damage to the track. No, he's not losing his job.
No.
And arguably somebody should be punished for this, because this isn't the first new track we've seen where the track surface is rubbish. And I'm not just talking about in MotoGP, because Liberty Media now own MotoGP and Formula One. And you know, we've seen things with particularly Vegas.
Yep.
And
we've got Madrid.
We've got Madrid coming up as well, which is a bit concerning.
Hungary. And they haven't finished yet.
No, the Hungary circuit last year.
Yep.
We've seen things where, you know, Imola was resurfaced. China, where was resurfaced last year? And they were like, oh, it's too grippy. They were like, it's too grippy.
Wasn't it not China? Or was that just the fire that was...
No, it was a fire. Somewhere was resurfaced. And they're like, no, the surface isn't good.
Was it Kota?
No, I don't think so.
There was quite a lot going on last year with...
I feel like there was quite a lot of chat about it last year.
Yeah.
I just can't remember which circuits.
Because no, Kota came into discussion about something.
Was it Mexico?
Might have been Mexico. I can't remember exactly, but there was a lot of discussions at different racetracks about
the track surface. Yeah, I can remember that. Let us know in the comments which tracks it was, because I can remember it. The real concerning thing about this is not necessarily Brazil, right? You can make mistakes. Mistakes happen, right? Stand up, own it, but make sure the procedure's followed. It's this street circuit in Adelaide that concerns me. So fans of Formula One from the 90s and beyond may remember the Adelaide street circuit. I mean, it comes up every time they talk about Schumacher driving into Hill. Is it Hill? Yeah.
Yeah.
So MotoGP want to go there instead of Phillip Island next year.
And just to say, Phillip Island is...
phenomenal.
It's like, I wouldn't say it's like Spa, but it's kind of that element of this is an iconic circuit.
It's an iconic classic track. It's got a lot of fast speed, long apex corners.
It's one of those...
It's on the coast, so you always get some nice camera shots. It's one of those tracks that's like, oh, it's just a nice track to watch.
It's one of those tracks that is, when you think about MotoGP, you kind of think about Phillip Island.
Yeah.
You don't picture the track, you just know that Phillip Island is MotoGP.
Sure. So they announced that the track would follow the old F1 circuit layout. It'll be just under 4.2 kilometers, 18 corners, and top speeds of more than 340 kilometers an hour.
On a street circuit.
On a street circuit, on a bike. And I mean, you know, I know that they're planning on not... When I think street circuit, I'm thinking like Monaco and Baku, right? Now, I'm led to believe it will be more like what Saudi has become over recent years, where they've moved the barriers away, and there will be gravel traps, and that they know the type of gravel to use to make sure the bikes never go anywhere near a barrier, and they're only expecting a bike, not a bike and rider, to ever make contact with a barrier. Right?
Yes, I mean F1 have said this for a while. Oh, we're going to use gravel here, and it hasn't really fixed
far more difficult to stop a car than a bike.
Yeah, it hasn't really fixed much in that. I am a little bit concerned by the fact it is classified as a street circuit.
Yeah.
How close are the fans?
Yeah.
Because I think you might remember Acosta's crash last year where the bike rolled and almost hit a cameraman.
Yeah. So this is the thing. Like, I would completely be like, oh yeah, fine, sure. Okay, so you're going to put, the track's going to be narrow, but then there'll be a good, probably the same again, track width between that and the barrier of gravel. And I know that bikes race at Macau. I do.
Yeah.
But these are much faster bikes.
Yeah. Macau is kind of, I wouldn't say it's endurance, but it's generally slower.
It's slower bikes. It just is. It's super sport bikes.
And it is quite a regularly used bit of track.
It's not a bike where you hear the phrase 340 kilometers an hour.
No.
No.
And that track is not safe anyway.
No.
But it's just safer than you expect.
Yeah. And so, I think I picture that in my head and I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Okay. I can believe you. But then when they did Hungary last year, which was Balaton Park, which was a new track, they say things like, oh, well, we know a lot about gravel tech now, and we know the size and the distribution of the gravel. Think like Paul Ricard, where they've got the blue and the red lines off the track that are designed to slow a little bit, slow a lot, whatever, where we can slow a bike down and stop it from doing that. And then, as you quite rightly say, Acosta comes off his bike, the bike launches up a TV tower, which is 10 foot off the ground.
Yeah, and it almost hits the cameraman. It is inches away.
It goes over the height of the catch fence and strikes somebody, a person. Now, okay, the cameraman is
generally higher.
Is a member of staff.
Yeah.
And therefore it's significantly, look, we don't want to see cameramen hit with bikes. But if anybody's going to be hit with a bike, a marshal or a cameraman, somebody who is involved in the race and is more hyper aware of the dangers and perhaps more readily trained to avoid the dangers is a better target than a member of the public.
Yes.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
I don't want to see anybody hit with a bike, but if anybody is going to be in threat of being hit with a bike, somebody who can be trained how to avoid it and predict it and what to look for, this bike has now dug in, you've got maybe 5 seconds where you need to duck or move or whatever.
Yeah, and they can wear some form of padding.
Right, and they can, absolutely.
Right. To
is a better target.
Yeah.
I would believe them if I hadn't just seen the Brazilian Grand Prix and I hadn't seen Hungary last year. I'm really concerned about this.
It is because obviously we, as Formula One fans, have watched multiple instances of crashes over the years where, not necessarily on street circuits, but obviously Senna.
Yep.
And obviously that was years ago and safety's improved and gotten better. But obviously Jules Bianchi, there are instances of drivers passing away or dying on the circuit by crashes.
Yep.
When there's gravel.
Yeah.
It's not going to save someone's life.
Yeah.
Especially when the rider can be thrown.
Yeah, the gravel does a really great job in MotoGP of slowing the rider down, not the bike.
It usually makes the bike flip.
Yeah.
And go quite high. Again, look at Acosta. It's the perfect example of why gravel isn't as good as you expect it is in MotoGP because of the way the bikes are currently designed. They can dig in, flip, and hit someone. And those catch fences, people go, oh, yeah, really safe. Okay, well, a bike can go through them.
Yeah. Oh, as we saw at the weekend, an IndyCar can back through them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was that? Scott McLaughlin, I think.
Dixon, I had someone.
He was hanging out of the security fence, like hanging over a hill. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, and I've sent you occasional like crash compilations of stuff.
Yeah,
and some of them go straight through those safety barriers.
Yeah.
And obviously, we've had instances in the past where they didn't have safety barriers and there was just hills.
Yeah,
and drivers have been seriously injured in Formula One. That's just going to be multiple times worse because again you're not in a cockpit protected.
No,
in MotoGP, like it goes from being safety and promoting safety for riders and drivers as well, because obviously these tracks will be involved in other events that are going on, and obviously I assume Moto2 and Moto3 will be going. And some of them are kids.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like MotoGP, fine. I mean, look, they will do a procession race, no problem if they have to.
Yeah.
But you're right in that you've got Moto2, which is just chaos. I mean, who was it who was run Alonso? David Alonso was who was run over the other week in Thailand. And then you've also got Moto3, which usually ends in some sort of warfare anyway.
Yeah.
With 10 times 10 more bikes. There's 30 of them, 35 of them.
Yeah.
Something like that. And none of their only goal is to just beat the other guy. There is no, they don't consider
safety at all.
Safety, yeah.
Because they want to get to MotoGP.
Because they want to get up there, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, it concerns me. Speaking of safety, let's continue with the safety rant quickly. I mean, we are slowly running out of time.
Yep.
Switching back to F1, so we're flip-flopping a lot these last 2 weeks. So
there's a lot of news going on in the world.
Well, there is and there isn't, right? Like, there's no more races, so there's just topics we have to get through. Ollie Bearman's crash. Now, I don't want to point the finger at either driver because the stewards haven't pointed the finger at either driver. Now, yes, Colapinto takes a slightly different line to what one might expect, but it's not like he's suddenly made a move across to the left.
No, it's not like he saw Bearman coming and then went for him.
Correct. And the major issue here is the difference in deployment speeds, deployment rates, and then obviously car speeds, which is something the drivers have been talking about for a long time. And Bearman then goes onto the grass, loses control of the car, flies across the gravel trap, and has a 50G impact with the wall, with the barrier. Yep. Comes away with just a bruised knee, thankfully.
Looks
just a bruised knee.
Looks uncomfortable when he gets out.
Uncomfortable, but at least he's got a month to recover, and it is just a bruise. It's not a fracture or a
broken or anything,
or a break or anything. But it has prompted that the FIA are going to have this safety meeting discussion with manufacturers about what they do about different deployment rates and changing energy deployments and whatever. I honestly think this is the best outcome that we could have had. Because we very easily could have got to Miami and somebody flies into that overpass or flies over into the crowd.
Yeah, it's a pretty blind corner circuit. Someone could just be in the way going slowly.
Or let's be honest, we could be going to Bahrain and Saudi Arabia soon. And we could have got to Saudi Arabia and had somebody in the drink, right? In the sea.
Yeah.
Flying over the catch fence. And it scares me because this week as well, I saw that circuit in Qiddiya isn't a joke. It's real. They're building it. Like, what the fuck? It's just, why?
It seems to be quite a common thing in every sport where, in football or hockey or anything like that, where it goes from being the sport develops with player safety in mind and driver safety in mind. And then when money starts flowing in, safety starts to go out the window.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say. Look, I'm glad Ollie's okay, and I'm glad there was no penalty for Colapinto because I think that would have been a mistake.
I think it would be kind of the point the finger of blame without
there being any blame.
Yeah.
What I want to see is some change. This cannot go on because the yo-yo racing is rubbish.
Yep.
This automatic battery deployment is rubbish. The difference in speed created by a car that is deploying and harvesting is insane.
Yep.
And yeah, Martin Brundle might think that it's great that the tyre wear issue and the following another car issue is gone, but
it won't ever be fully gone.
But this isn't the answer, Martin. Like this isn't good. This isn't racing. This is just, my battery is designed to deploy here, so therefore I overtake you here. But yours is designed to deploy here, so I'll overtake you here. And when we get to tracks like Eau Rouge, when we get to tracks like Spa and we go through Eau Rouge and you've got a car that is harvesting on the way up Eau Rouge because it's on a cool down lap or something, and you've got a car coming at full chat deploying up Eau Rouge, suddenly we're not talking about a car crash anymore. It's an airplane crash.
Yeah, we could
into that nice new shiny grandstand that they put at the end of Eau Rouge.
Yeah, we could. I don't want to say it, but I want some form of change before we end up at Spa and we get a Hubert incident again.
Yes. Or we end up at Monza and then you've got a car coming round Curva Grande on a qualifying lap, deploying, and you've got a car harvesting into that chicane.
Yeah. And
we end up with a car wrapped around a tree.
Yep.
It needs to change. We cannot carry on. Before we go any deeper, I'm going to end it there, Jake, because we are slowly running out of time and we both have other things to do in our day.
Yep.
Just it has to change, doesn't it?
Yep. Safety should be the focus.
Yeah. If you haven't already, go ahead and check out our Patreon. It's totally free to get involved, to send your questions, to get involved in the race chats, to get involved in From Our Perspective series, which is cool. You also get first dibs on the podcast release, unedited, uncensored release as well. And you can get in touch with us there at AAT Apex. Thanks again to Jake for joining us, and we will see you next week. I don't even know what we're going to talk about next week. WEC, and then who knows?
Yeah, we're going to be in the middle of that month off for everything, aren't we?
April, where there's nothing to talk about. See you next time.
Yeah.
Peace.